And we are live. That's right. Thank you for taking this half hour to join me to talk about e-commerce, the most fascinating subject on the face of this planet. Now, in case you aren't familiar, I do have my signature Topo Chico here with me, supporting me with its bubbly goodness. If any questions pop into your head throughout this conversation, please just email me at the address that you see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Now, I do want to warn you, this is not as much a sales conversation as it is a strategy discussion. So if you want to set up a deeper dive of the platform in a one-on-one demo kind of a setting, visit the link that you see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen to grab a spot on the calendar. Anyway, in working hand in hand with so many run specialty retailers over the years, I've found that there is one thing that is abundantly clear. E-commerce is grossly misunderstood in our industry. And before I have the gall to try to convince you to make any kind of a change, I think it's very important to provide some broad context around why I say this, what e-commerce is and what it isn't for run specialty, and to set the record straight. Now, just to be clear, this big misconception isn't because we're all a bunch of idiots. Quite the contrary, actually. It's because of the circumstances that got running stores into e-commerce in the first place. Now, I'll get into the specifics of how this is relevant in a little bit, but ultimately, this series of events seeded the common belief among running stores that e-commerce is a place where you make everything available online and sell stuff to people who are Googling products. It's treated solely as an add-on storefront with the hopes that somehow someone out there who's looking for a women's Go 16 in Baja Blue is going to find it and make a purchase you may not otherwise have captured in person. And as such, when that ultimately doesn't pan out, there are two common reactions. You either double down on Go 16 advertising spend with mixed results, or simply declare that e-commerce isn't an important part of your business and leave it to sit in the metaverse just in case somebody shows up. However, the reality is that e-commerce is intended to reduce as much of the friction between the customer and your cash register as possible. More broadly, e-commerce and your overall online presence should be a beacon of potential solutions that acts to connect the moment a customer identifies a need with your ability to solve for that need. And maximizing the brightness of that beacon is what it takes to get the best return on that investment. But before I go any further, who am I and why should you listen to me? My name's Rob. I'm co-founder and resident Tom Smikowski at the Run Free Project, and I talk to the customers so the engineers don't have to. I went to Clemson University, and I have over 20 years of experience in software, product development, and technical marketing. I've led product development and marketing for big corporations, and to be honest, I don't love the institutional blandness of corporate America. So, in 2019, me and two buddies started the Run Free Project with the goal of building cool stuff that could help regular people just like us fix problems that threaten their small businesses. Since then, I've had the distinct honor of working with more than 200 run specialty retailers across 6 time zones in 3 countries. Now, I've come to love this industry and everybody in it. I hope that's obvious when you hang out with me. And I'm bound and determined not only to make a living here, but to provide tools and guidance that actually help you guys in a meaningful way. I'm a firm believer that virtue wins on the field of commerce, and that a philosophy of mutually assured success will always deliver optimal results. So, I spend a lot of time talking with retailers and providing running stores with the insights that I glean from those conversations so they can tuck them into their own winning strategies. The idea is if I focus on making sure that you're successful, you'll choose to continue to pay me for the tools that fuel that success. And in that cycle, we both win. Just in case, if you're not familiar with the Run Free Project and what we do, We're a web-based platform that's designed from the ground up for run specialty retailers. We don't sit on top of something else like WooCommerce. We are dedicated to this. That platform consists of 3 key pieces. Our POS integrated e-commerce product, which automates everything that sucks about e-commerce. Our no-code website builder, which makes it easy to create amazing web pages and websites without any experience. And our mobile loyalty apps, which put your store in the Apple App Store and Google Play, enabling your customers to accumulate and self-service loyalty points, check into events, and track mileage with a free download. All of that stuff is managed from a single web-based dashboard that's modern and simple to use. That's what we do. So with that out of the way, let's get to it. First off, how did we get here? Back at the end of 2019, 27% of run specialty retailers in the RIA's retailer survey reported having an e-commerce presence. Less than 12 months later, that number was over 90%. That is a humongous change over a very short time frame. Now, obviously, the reason that this e-commerce adoption spiked was the pandemic. To stay in business, you had to give your customers a way to engage with you, and the only option you had was to go online. Now, for a guy who sells e-commerce to running stores, that dark cloud had a silver lining, but for most of the run specialty community, the digital shift that came with it was a painful yanking into the world of e-commerce. Now, naturally, that highly unusual moment in time was the crucible where most of your opinions about what e-commerce is supposed to be were forged. Stick with me. One of the more popular philosophies to emerge in this time was the field of dreams effect. If you build it, they will come. Because that's exactly how it worked during the height of the pandemic. We all hunkered down and grieved the loss of being in our communities together by buying things from local retailers online. The longing to restore that community connection and a sense of looking out for small businesses in a tough time drove consumers to seek out local retailers in particular during that time. And as a result, e-commerce sales and site activity soared to record-breaking levels. Since most run specialty retailers were brand new to e-commerce when this happened, it was perfectly natural to feel a sense of concern when the inflated online activity of the early pandemic cooled when things started opening back up. What most folks didn't know at the time was that the cooling down of that online activity was actually a return to normalcy. Now, obviously, normal post-COVID is far more digitally centric than normal before COVID, but you get what I mean. And as things cooled off, a lot of folks decided, I guess e-commerce just isn't a big deal for us. Sound familiar? Yeah. And of course, there is a reason that running stores were late to the e-commerce party. Run specialty is, by its very nature and at its very core, an in-person experience. We all know that. And unfortunately, this fact is very effective at reinforcing the misconception that e-commerce just isn't that important in run specialty. The reality couldn't be further from the truth. Your online presence is the most valuable real estate your running store possesses. Let me tell you. According to Google, 97% of all consumers discover local businesses like running stores using their search engine. Think about it. If you need something, you Google it. And when people Google shin splints or track shoes near me, they see a list of Google business profiles with the ratings between them scattered across a map. I know you know what I'm talking about. And in that situation, if your store looks interesting, they'll check out your website to see what you're all about. And when that happens, 87% browse your e-commerce store to see what they can expect when they come in. And if that's a slow or confusing experience, or if it's disjointed from your brand identity, statistics tell us that 40% of users will go back to the map and check out another retailer to see if it's a better fit. Ultimately, 76% of the people who start that Google search will set foot in a retail store within 24 hours. And if your website, your brand, and the stuff you carry resonates with them, that store will be yours. Now here's the twist. It is exceedingly rare for somebody who's never heard of your store before to find you in a Google search, go to your website, and make a purchase there. For the vast majority of run specialty retailers, the people that shop with them online are the people who already know the brand and have visited the store. And interestingly enough, 3/4 of those people's repeat purchases take place by way of e-commerce. So that means you have two very distinct groups of people engaging in two very different aspects of your web presence. And your challenge is to meet both of them where they are and make it as easy as possible for them to do business with you. That could mean digitally, physically, or both. No matter what, one thing is unquestionably clear. No matter how people choose to interact with you, in just about every instance, your online presence will be the first place they go. So if you ignore it or consider it unimportant, you're making a grave mistake. And together, our job, my job as a platform developer and your job as the store providing people with run specialty stuff and experiences, is to remove as much friction as possible between the moment a first-time prospect visits your website and the moment that they're inspired to visit your store. It's also our job to remove as much friction as possible between the moment an existing customer identifies a need and the moment that they recognize that they can engage you to meet that need. And all of that happens online. And of course, this all sounds great, right? But how are you actually supposed to do anything with that information? Let me illustrate the two most significant things that you need to get right online. Now, there are a bunch, but these two are the biggest, and it'll give you an idea of what I mean by removing friction. It includes removing friction for you and your employees as much as it does for your customers and prospects as well. To start, you want to be sure that your online presence, including your e-commerce store, is as accurate a depiction of your brand experience as you can get. It should feel like there's little to no fundamental distance between who you are online and who you are in store. Now today, you don't have a whole lot of control over what you display online or how you display it on your e-com site. And if you want to synchronize everything that happens online with RICS so the online experience matches in store, you have to do that manually. Conversely, with Run Free, your website, e-commerce store, and your mobile loyalty app, depending on the product set that you go with us, lives at whatever your runningstore.com is. And it can be administered and customized very easily by you and your employees all the way down to the individual product level. That is a huge improvement by itself. But when you consider the giant increase in automation that accompanies our tight integration with RICS, things get really interesting. So with Run Free, any product that you enter into RICS automatically flows into the Run Free platform. On its way, our system cross-references it with the Run Free metabase, which is literally just a giant database of images and descriptions that are provided by the vendors that we work with and crowdsourced from the other 200 plus Run Free project stores. So that means when you log into Run Free, everything from RICS will automatically be there, ready to list online with pictures and descriptions pre-populated for about 90% of the stuff. For the remaining 10-ish%, just upload your own pictures. You don't need permission. You can just do it yourself right there. And there are no limits on what vendors you're able to list. If you can create it in RICS, you can sell it online instantaneously. But the automation actually goes much further. When an inventory change is made in RICS, whether that's a sale or an adjustment that you make, it flows to Run Free automatically and vice versa. So when a customer places an e-commerce order, it's processed in RICS just like an in-store order. It removes inventory automatically without requiring any human intervention and is listed as a web order, but shows up exactly like it would in store and is accounted for properly. So there's nothing that you have to do in any kind of way to make that work other than just letting it do it itself. It won't ever let somebody buy anything that you don't actually have in stock in that moment either, because that integration is so tight. We even automate product variant grids too, so you don't have to group different colors of the same shoe together when arranging your e-commerce store's shelves. Run Free does it all for you, which means that you don't have to go in and individually click all 572 different variants of the Brooks Ghost 16. You can simply group the colors together and make sure the names match, and it does it all automatically. And of course, with Relay, which is included at no additional charge, you can complement your RICS inventory with endless aisle inventory from all the major Run Specialty vendors. They auto feed our system nightly with updates from their B2B sites. You can even choose whether you want Relay or in-store inventory to take priority in a sale at the product level. And no matter what you sell, there are 0 transaction or commission fees involved. You pay a single flat monthly rate, which is a subscription fee for the platform, and nothing else. Second, your customers expect there to be 0 friction when they shift from dealing with you online to dealing with you in person. For example, today, if I buy an e-gift card from your online store, I can only redeem it online. If I tried to use it to make a purchase at the register in your store, it couldn't be done, and we'd both walk away feeling frustrated with an outdated and clunky system. But with Run Free, I could be having lunch with my mom and buy an e-gift card for her in your e-commerce store from my phone, and she can use it in store or online 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes later with no friction, completely automated. That means you don't have to do anything to enable that kind of omni-channel experience at all. She can even spend half of it in each place. The balance is synchronized between those two places automatically as well. Just as cool, if my mom put one of your physical gift cards in my stocking 10 years ago, I can find it, use it online in store, or a combination of the two in the exact same way. It'll just work automatically without any intervention or oversight. Even if you just started with Run Free last week, all those gift cards you've ever issued are usable online instantaneously. And that's the way it should be. While I could go on forever about how we remove friction from doing business online, the most important takeaway here is that your customers and prospects expect things to be frictionless across all channels. So while I'd love for you to join the Run Free project and take advantage of all of our automation and the opportunities to hear me run my mouth, which, there are many, if you decide not to go that route, at least you can walk away with an accurate set of expectations around the true purpose and optimal tuning of your online presence in e-commerce store. And most importantly, it's not just about selling online. Online is where almost everyone starts their journey, no matter where they end up making a purchase. Honestly, if you ignore the statistics and do nothing with your online presence, your customers are going to continue to find the most frictionless path and take that. And as time goes on, the chances of that frictionless path being elsewhere are going to continue to rise, because I guarantee your customers will expect the online experience to become more ingrained in the physical experience, and the only way you stay relevant in that situation is if you choose to show up for them there. If any of this seems interesting and you'd like a personalized one-on-one demo of the Run Free project platform and more information on all the cool ways that we can automate the stuff that you either can't do or have to do manually as it is today, take a visit to the link at the bottom right corner of your screen. If you have any questions, dirty jokes, or even fashion advice, please feel free to reach out to me at the email address to the bottom left. Now, I hope I was able to provide you with some valuable perspective today, and thank you for taking some time to join me. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at Run Free Project, and keep an eye out because we're always building new stuff with feedback from all of our member stores. Bye for now.